New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
What's going on? It's Jay Ellis from the Knick of Time Show, here giving you that Knicks talk just in nick of time. And it's time to start another win streak for these New York Knicks, because the Knicks beat the Spurs 117 to 114. Jalen Brunson came in here, hit a career high 38 points, 6 assists, 7 rebounds, 1 shot for Jalen Brunson, the monster. All right, Julius Randle comes in and gives you 25 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks. Randle playing this defense. Grimes got dirty, giving 14 points, 2 steals, shot 3 of 5 from the 3-point line, and had a great clutch stop at the end to preserve the win for the New York Knicks, preventing the game from going into overtime. And the Knicks overcome lackadaisical, tumultuous bench play. They were outscored 61 to 21 by the bench. But our rebounding kept us in the game. Our shot making kept us in the game. Out rebounded the Spurs 62 to 42 and come to MSG with another win, and the crowd goes wild. Or kind of wild, because it was really nervous. Actually, it wasn't wild. It was more like, thank God that we didn't have another collapse, because it was looking like one was coming. But the Knicks won because Sohan got a 5-second violation, and we had more clutch shots than they did. So salute to the chat, salute to you guys on the panel, and salute to Fubu TV. Yes, Fubu TV. If you want to watch the Knicks on MSG for free for 7 days, go to FubuTV.com/KOT to watch your Knicks, other sports channels, and other cable channels like Martin, Fresh Prince, whatever you want to watch. You can also record, and also if you decide to buy it, we get a cut, and there is no subscription. You can cut whenever you want it. All right, so shout out to Fubu TV. Now let me introduce you to my guys. First and foremost, welcome back, Ryan G, my man, the myth, the legend, with the stats and the facts. What's going on?
Ryan G is in the building. Glad to be back, and glad to be back on a day that the Knicks win. So I'm happy about that. Was in NYC. My family could not leave me alone, so I couldn't do those shows in NYC. But
it's all good. You're allowed your family to not leave you alone, Ryan. Welcome back, though. Definitely welcome back. We miss you over here, buddy. We miss you.
We miss you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And of course, you already know it is Mr. ESPN contributor, Mr. Posting and Toasting contributor, Mr. Deadspin contributor, and SNY contributor, the Latin assassin, Lee Escobedo.
Let's go.
What's going on? You got you don't have a Trump hat on, do you? You have a what do you have?
No, hell no. This is Marfa, Texas, man. This is one of my favorite art institutions here in Marfa. The Marfa Ball.
Okay. Gotcha.
Our friends over there. Hell no. I'm not mad at all. I'm whatever the opposite of that is. That's me. Yeah, man, this was a good win. Really, really love having a point guard finally. It just feels nice. You know, he's been a little off and on with the free throw shooting, and there is some tendency to over dribble. I mean, that was something I saw while he was at Dallas with the Mavs, but it's just nice to have a really stable, smart, high IQ point guard running the show. We haven't had that in damn near 15, 18 years since Marbury. And I think Brunson's even a little bit better than Marbury already off the bat. I said it before, I'll say it again, he's the best signing that we've had since Allen Houston came in the 90s. So really happy to have Brunson. Very nice to root for a point guard finally.
Absolutely. Very nice to have Brunson. Brunson started out giving you 38 points on the night. I know the stats are wrong. I'm about to update the stats. Hold on a second. He gives you 38 points on the night. Was living in the mid-range area. Popovich called him a monster, and he was right. They really couldn't stop him. I kind of feel like he only stopped himself. The only thing that is stopping Brunson right now is really free throws, really. Because he has every move in his arsenal. He has the pivot. He has the hesitation. He's a guy who he's just so dependable. Except in the fourth quarter, I'm getting a little bit worried, but I don't know. But I don't know. 38 points on the night, 6 assists. Our captain is back. Shout out to Jalen Brunson. What do you have to add to that, Ryan G?
Yeah, man, Brunson played a pretty good game tonight. You know, career high 38 points, so you definitely got to big him up for that. And he definitely hit some clutch shots, especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, that last possession was kind of shaky. You know, he did lose possession of the ball, and I think the ball went to Julius Randle. Julius Randle shot like an air ball and ended up being a shot clock violation, which eventually, you know, led to the Spurs having a violation of their own 5 seconds, and so the Knicks were able to seal the win. But besides that, you know, Jalen Brunson was really good tonight. You know, it was pretty much the Julius Randle and Brunson show. Like, those two guys just took over, you know, did a lot of isolation, took the Spurs one-on-one, and the Spurs couldn't stop either player. But yeah, like Lee said earlier, it's great to have a point guard that you can depend on in tight situations to get buckets.
Let's go.
Yeah. Anything to add to that, Lee? While I'm looking for the slide.
You know, I've been called a hater a lot after last time's debate with Raw, and I've been called a hater even before, longer than that, just because of my criticism, mostly on Julius Randle. And this was a night, you know, Ryan alluded to it. This was the Brunson and Randle show. The stats in terms of shooting splits, Randle was 9 of 26, 1 of 8 from 3. So that's pretty horrid shooting night.
Yeah.
But you know what? I don't care. Like, what I wanted to see the most are those 4 blocks.
Shut up the worldwide west. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
Those are the things for me that I care the most about. And those are the things that Julius Randle's providing on a nightly basis. The defense, the effort, that, you know, closing out when he needs to close out, not getting those plays off. Man, my heart and soul, I'm with Julius Randle right now, man. The dude is balling out of control. He's got my full support during the good shooting nights and the bad shooting nights. That's my dog.
Yeah, Julius. This was an interesting game for Julius Randle. A very interesting game. Chased down LeBron James like blocks in the first half. Got me excited. He had a few blocks. You know, he I felt like, you know, I didn't like his offensive process today. I felt like he was a little bit 3-point shot happy. He's playing very relaxed lately. And today I felt like he might have been a little bit overly relaxed. And it led to some turnovers and stuff. But all in all, Julius Randle, 3 steals, 3 blocks on the night was great. Was absolutely perfect. Almost perfect defensively. The only slight critique I really have was Mitchell Robinson got into foul trouble early, and when I went back, because sometimes I'll watch what happened back as the game is going. When I look back and see how he got into foul trouble, it was a lot of time because Julius Randle wasn't paying attention off ball. A Spurs guy cut from the corner or cut from the pop, and that was Julius Randle's man behind Randle. Mitch caught it, tried to rotate and stop him, and he ended up in a bad spot and getting fouled. Now, Mitch, on the other hand, he needs to know when to get his hands out the cookie jar once he's in foul trouble, and not, you know, overcommit defensively. But, you know, Randle was a reason for a lot of those backdoor collapses. But overall, the effort that Randle has shown was far outweighs the bad. He still finished with a positive on the night. I think he was a positive 9 on the night. And largely it was because of the defense. And also in spurts, he was important. That third quarter, when things started to get a little bit shaky, he scored, I think 7 buckets in a row, 7 points in a row, something to that nature, and kept us afloat. And he also made a couple of nice passes. There was a pass he made to Sims that was very impressive. He does a spin move, and it's looking like the old Randle spin rule turnover, dumps it off to Sims, and Sims scores a bucket. Loving the maturation of Randle today on a defensive end, even though he didn't have it offensively.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And as far as Jalen Brunson is concerned, 38 points, another career high. This is one of those games that kind of reminds me that we still don't know where Jalen Brunson is going to stop. This is his first year being the guy, being the leader of a team, being the man. And he can get better towards this year and next year, figuring out how to close, when to pass the ball, when to take over a game. We might see more career highs coming from Jalen Brunson. We might see a 50 burger from Jalen Brunson. This team is still kind of young and figuring it out. We haven't had this starting five together for only like 20 games yet, especially because RJ Barrett's been out. So it's funny, we've been up and down. We've been kind of helter-skelter with the win streak and losing streak, but I still feel like there's a ways to go when it comes to growth, because this team is still kind of figuring each other out long term, and Jalen Brunson is still trying to figure stuff out as a leader, and he's done a damn good job shooting 63% from the field and 43% from three. All right. Salute to the chat. I'm gonna look at this chat real quick. Shout out to Alexander S. Parker. Shout out to Lee, who's over here in the chat. Shout out to my real friend cousin Winston Ellis. Shout out to Debo the God, Boston Nick, Michael Moss, and everybody else who's rocking with the KOT show. If you love the show so far, hit the like and subscribe button. And I see you, tell them. Shout out to you. We need this win. No Doug McDermott revenge game today. All right. But guys, let me ask you something. The bench. Our starting five has been pretty dominant. I was looking at some stats recently. I think our starting five are like amongst the tops in net rating in the NBA. Our team really is top 10 in offense, in top 11 in offense, top 7 in defense. But when it comes to the bench, we're lacking right now. IQ was in the starting lineup, probably has a lot to do with it. But, you know, there was a scare in the second quarter. We were up 10 points in that second quarter. And we couldn't get together. Does that bench scoring chemistry worry you long term?
For me, not really, because I know part of the reason as to why the bench production hasn't been as high lately. Like you said, Quickly's in the starting lineup and RJ is out. So with that, you have to expect bench production is going to go down a bit, because right now our bench consists of Hardenstein, McBride, Fournier, and Sims. Out of those four players, the only guy who's capable of getting buckets is Fournier. Hardenstein is more of a passer than a scorer. Sims is more of a defensive player. McBride is more of a defensive player. Now, when RJ comes back and quickly goes back to the lineup, then that's going to get, when quickly goes back to the bench, that's going to give you more pop coming off the bench, and that's going to increase the bench scoring as a result. So in the long run, I don't really see it as an issue, because at the end of the day, when Thibs went to that 9-man rotation, that's when the Knicks really started to win games. So regardless of the fact, I'm not really worried about the bench. I just think once RJ comes back healthy, quickly goes back to the bench, and the rotation gets back to where it was, everything's going to be all good for the Knicks.
I agree 100%. Ryan hit the nail on the head. And I think we're also forgetting about Obi Toppin. Once Obi Toppin got into the rotation too, he gives you minimum 8-10 points a game. I think off the bench, once his conditioning and his reps in, and he gets back into the groove of that second unit, he's adding another scoring threat. And I want Hartenstein out of the lineup. I think the only guy that I'm real hard on right now, dude, Isaiah Hartenstein, he's just a bum, man. I don't like the effort. I don't like how soft he is. How soft he is when he scores, soft on D, soft as a rebounder, just all around. I like Sims out there by himself a lot better than when he's paired with Hartenstein in the front court. But we still need a wing. We talked about this last time in last podcast. We still need like a big, stretchy wing who can play some large minutes at the 2, some average minutes at 3, and play small ball at the 4. I think someone, basically Cam Reddish, but someone that Tom Thibodeau doesn't hate. So if we can go out there and get us a Gary Trent Jr., who I'm obsessed with, or even a Kenyon Martin Jr. with the Houston Rockets, that kind of player who can play multiple positions, rebound, run the floor, and help closing out on double teams. I mean, that would really solidify the bench unit.
Yeah, absolutely. Because with RJ Barrett out right now, we're really kind of feeling it. The problems that we had today, again, had to do with the longer wings taking advantage of McBride and quickly. A lot of the problems. Plus Hartenstein as well. Hartenstein, he couldn't guard Zach for some reason. It really looked a lot better when Sims was in there closing in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, and not Hartenstein. Because when I was looking, I'm looking at Miles McBride. He's usually a plus minus darling. Lowest plus minus today, a -10. Josh Richardson, he was guarding Richardson a lot, and so was Quickly. Josh Richardson is 6'6", a 6'6" long wing. And the same things that were happening during that Spurs game was kind of happening again today when McBride and Quickly were kind of guarding him. They were just getting him downhill around curls, and then there was like nothing they can really do once they got that screen. And so it was a rough game for McBride and Quickly defensively against those guys. And on top of that, you know, when those guys are getting screened, you need help. You need length to kind of compensate for those guys getting screened. And I'm watching Hartenstein kind of dropping off a little bit too far off of Richardson trying to help, or maybe sometimes he doesn't have a choice. He has to choose to box out and hope he misses. But I just felt like when Sims was in there, he was able to kind of corral Richardson a little bit better, and those guys. It was a big reason why we closed out the fourth quarter better when Sims was in the game, and Hart wasn't, and Mitch wasn't as well, because Mitch was in foul trouble. And I think the same thing happened in the second quarter.
Emmanuel Quickly is a better rebounder than Isaiah Hartenstein.
Bruh. Crazy.
It's true. It's true.
It's and you know what it is? I'm gonna give him some. Emmanuel Quickly. Hartenstein is a good offensive rebounder, it seems. Like he has a knack for getting the rebound when a Knick misses. But when it comes to finishing off defensive possessions,
yes,
he doesn't seem to get the job done. The ball always seems to kind of like flick off his fingers, or he just doesn't get it at all. So it's been a big L for us when it comes to defensive rebounding. But I agree with you. I definitely agree with you, man. Yeah. All in all, it was a good win. I still have some trepidations, and we can talk about that right now. End of the game. The Knicks were down 1 to the Spurs twice in the fourth quarter. Brunson, I love you. Best Knicks signing, like Lee said. Best Knicks signing we had in a long time. He goes to the line in fourth quarter and misses free throws once again. I think he's like 8 of his last 20-something free throws. What's going on with Jalen Brunson? We won this game, luckily, because they were a young team. But when we face better teams moving forward, we have to execute a lot better on offense. And I love Jalen Brunson. He had 2 clutch shots at the foul line to help put the game away and give us the edge. That last play when he fumbled the ball off his heel, gave it off to Julius Randle. Julius Randle shoots an air ball. We need a little bit better than that. Still glad we had to win, but still certain things to clean up because we have a lot tougher competition coming up moving forward.
Man, yeah. Not to reflect too much back on our last podcast, but Tom Thibodeau ain't it. I think we've had issues closing out games since he's been the head coach of this team. I will say one thing about that I really liked. I liked that he subbed out Brunson on that 5-second defensive call for Miles McBride, who stuck on Dunn McDermott like glue, because it felt like they wanted Dunn McDermott to get an open three or a mid-range shot, and McBride just like closed him off, had the perfect timing, was counting down, and knew exactly when to side off a little bit over that screen once he knew that the possession was over. So good on Tibbs for making that sub. That's a sub he should have made in that Mavs game, putting Sims in for McBride. But I'm glad that McBride was out there over Brunson. He fights over screens better, and that was the right call. But the man just like, there's no offensive creativity at all. Like Brunson was, career high. What can you say? But most of that was through isolation plays, one-on-one. Same thing with Randle. It's a disappointment that we can't formulate a scheme with all the different talent and different abilities that all these guys have on the offensive end to have something that flows better against some of the worst teams in the NBA. The Spurs are I think second only to the Houston Rockets in the West. And we're on their level offensively when we have way more talent and ability on the floor. So, I don't know what to say. We've exacerbated the topic, but, I continue to believe that Tibbs ain't that guy when it comes to who we need on the sidelines for this team.
Well,
yeah, and
go ahead, Ryan.
I was just gonna kind of, I guess, stretch on what Lee is saying. I'll say this: like, the Knicks are lucky that they have players on their squad that do thrive in isolation situations, because if the Knicks didn't have players that thrive in isolation, Knicks offense would be in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah.
And I do want to make a comparison. I'm not saying that the Knicks are this team, but it does make you think a bit if the Knicks were to actually upgrade and get a coach that has a bit more offensive creativity, because I kind of liken this to like the Golden State Warriors when they had Mark Jackson and then they upgraded to Steve Kerr. When Mark Jackson was there in Golden State, he was very bland on offense as well. He mainly ran isolation on offense with Steph Curry and those guys and had them go one-on-one. And that's how they operated. But defensively, he set a foundation to where when Steve Kerr came in and he upgraded the offense and added more movement to the offense, the Warriors just exploded, and then all of a sudden you get championships. Not saying that the Knicks are the Warriors, but it does make you wonder if the Knicks were to upgrade, because right now, it's similar. Thibs already set a defensive foundation with the squad where you have guys that are committed to the defensive end. Now, if you take out Thibs and you bring in a coach that actually has offensive acumen, that actually knows how to add movement to the offense, you have guys like Brunson, Randle, etc., that can actually score the rock. It makes you wonder how much better this team would be, because the defensive foundation is already there. You just need a coach that's going to increase the offense, like do something different on the offense, to get these guys scoring easier. So it's just something to think about, food for thought. Lee just brought it up into my head when he said what he said.
I love you, Ryan. That's why what makes you so special, bro. That's why I looked up to you. That's a fantastic analogy. Mark Jackson and Tom Thibodeau is a great analogy, because you're right. And Ross said this. He has set a very solid foundation and culture of guys that commit on the defensive end. But there's so many limitations. And like the same way Mark Jackson had Curry and Clay, and we have Randle and Brunson, it makes us look a lot better than we actually are on offense. Great point.
Right. Which is why I've been saying even since last year that, that he's setting up the foundation. Yes. But I want him to keep going until it's time to transition from him. I know we have to transition from him eventually, but right now I still feel like we're still trying to get that recipe cooking a little bit longer. Like I said, our starting five hasn't really been together that long to see that success really gel and kind of climb that ladder. Our starting five has only been together for like 20 games, and now RJ's back out. So I want to see them together for longer periods of time to kind of grow even more chemistry. And then there's going to be a time when we're in the playoffs when we're going to be like, all right, cool. You know what? The coach is not imaginative. We need to inject some more offensive fluidity here. Let's go do that moving forward. I just don't think the time is now. Now, as far as today, though, I will say this. Brunson, they ran pick and roll with Brunson and Julius Randle, right? Not even pick and roll. They just ran the pick and they knew the Spurs would switch, and they got Sohan off of Brunson, and they had Brunson going one-on-one with Sheldon. And it worked. Keldon Johnson. And it worked 2 times in a row. So I'd rather have more movement at the end of game situations, but it worked 2 times in a row today. So it wasn't crazy to go to it a third time and think it would work. I think Keldon just was a little bit more aggressive. And I think Brunson, for some reason, he's really cool for like the last 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And then when it comes to that very last shot, instead of doing the things he usually does, he like strays from it. Like, I felt like he had an opening to take another mid-ranger, panicked, and gave it to Randle. And at that moment, I was hoping Randle actually passed it back. But, you know, Randle took the floater, the fall away baby jumper and missed. But it is what it is. Next
Sims wide open.
What'd you say?
Yeah, Sims wide open too.
Right.
Under the basket.
Right. Sims wide open too under the basket. But it is what it is. Knicks still won the game. We still won the game. Still got work to do. Still have a lot of work to do. For real. But salute to the chat. If you want to call in, the phone lines are open. All right. 319-527-6241. That's 319-527-6241. If you want to call in and celebrate this Knicks win with us, or you have some criticisms about what we had to say. There was a lot of criticisms before last episode. You can call in and talk about it today if you want to. All right. But shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Mike Uno, says, I like the panel. Good trio. Last show we had. Oh, yo. I'm not even. Yo, y'all can't. Don't.
Let's go.
Nah, I'm not even playing, my guy. Especially, I'm not gonna lie, Lee. I kind of sided more with Raw. I was more with Raw.
I mean, people can be wrong in groups. It's all right. Well, you know, I found it funny. We all agreed that Tom Thibodeau eventually has to go. We just disagree on when. I found that really funny.
It's just the win. We all know you got to go sometime. It just looks crazy. It looks crazy as an organization to fire Tom Thibodeau when we're like winning. That just kind of kills credibility just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think if we wait 2 weeks, we'll be losing again, you know. So it goes back and forth.
We're not going to have a losing season.
I hope not. No, that's true. That's true.
We're not going to have a losing season. It's just going to look crazy however you slice it. Like
I think if you're 2 games over 500, to me that's mediocre and deserves consideration.
But if we had an elite team and like a top 10 player, and we were 2 games over 500, I would be like, okay, yeah, I'm with you. But we don't have championship players to say, oh, he's 2 games over 500, let's fire him. That's like an overreaction to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have okay players and slightly above average players right now. So it just doesn't make sense.
I think we have 2 all-stars and another guy who averages 19, and we're still, I think, underperforming up to those standards. It really depends on the playoffs. If we go into the playoffs again and get bounced in the first round like we did against the Hawks, I'm all for firing him. Like, I think the guy needs to go, because there's been other instances where guys went to the finals or went to the conference finals, gotten fired right after winning Coach of the Year, like literally the next season. And so I think there's an argument depending on how we do in the playoffs.
And I've always said most of the time when that happens that it was a crazy firing. I don't think most of the time people be like, why did you fire the guy after winning 50 something? Now, if they went to the finals a few games, like a few times, and it hit a ceiling, that's different. But we haven't had the team long enough to even do that. And as far as the 2 all-star comment, we have 2 all-stars, yes, but like there's tiers of all-stars, you know? Like the all-stars we have on our team have to be voted in. We don't have Durant's, Embiid's, Steph Curry. Like, we don't have top 10, top 15 all-stars. We have guys who are learning their role, knocking on the door type of guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's still wild to say I don't think we're underperforming. I think we're performing to what standards we actually have.
Man, I think you're making a lot of excuses with Tom Thibodeau. He'd be happy to hear you defending him this much and this hard. Because I'm not saying he's a bad coach.
Who?
He's not a bad coach. I don't think he's a horrible coach or a bad coach. I think he's a slightly above average coach. But if we get bounced in the first round again by a team that we should be competitive by, he's got to go.
I'm making a lot of excuses. Are you overvaluing the talent on the team?
No, I think we have two guys for the first time in 13 years in Stat and Carmelo. We have two guys that are bona fide all-stars. I think most of the league non-Knick fans would agree that they are all-stars. And we have another guy, and we haven't had this in 30 years, that's also averaging almost 20 points a game. We had 3 20-point per game stores, and I think we're underperforming based on the talent we have on the roster. I think if we had a better coach, we could be doing a better job and not going on 8-game win streaks and then following up with a 5-game losing streak. That's all I'm saying.
I don't listen, man. This tiers to all-stars though. Like it's cool to say that we have all-stars, but I remember freaking Kyle Lowry making an all-star game a few years, but no one's saying Ty Lowry is gonna be better than a Kyrie Irving. And like this,
but Kyle Lowry was the best player on a championship team.
It's good to
Lowry
have
was the best player on the
Raptors,
Raptors.
Franchise-changing talent all-stars.
No, but I think they're both. I would even argue all NBA. Brunson's third team All NBA in my opinion, and Julius Randle could even be second team, but I would fall on third team All NBA, and that's a feat in its own.
Absolutely, but then look who's on top of us. They have a team with Kevin Durant, a team with Joel Embiid, a team with Donovan Mitchell. Like there's guys over us who have like really top tier, top 10 player type all stars.
Yeah.
Like our all-stars are like top what 30, 20, like we're not there yet, man. We're not there yet.
I think we're there. Like I said, again, we're there if we go in the first round and we underperform as a team that we should be competitive against and we get bounced in the first round. I think he should go. Because then you have 3 seasons, 2 first-round bounces, 1 you missed the playoffs completely. To me, that's underperforming. I judge the playoffs more than I do the regular season. More emphasis on it.
I think it's too soon. I think it's too soon to do that, especially considering what matchup we have in the playoffs is also telling too. Because we're most likely gonna be matched up with a team like the Nets or the Cavs. You know what I mean? It's not like we're gonna be matched up with low-level playoff guys.
I'm not worried about the optics of how it lets the rest of the league have fired another coach. I mean, the optics already with the Knicks are skewed on how we're covered in the media. I think that we just make the best decision for the team based on the talent and the potential that we have. So,
yeah, I think we're right on schedule where we are. We're right on schedule for where we're supposed to be. We just have to let it cook. Salute to Alexander, who sends a 5 super chat. He says, coaching never fully fix free throw misses. We've underperformed from the line. We underperformed from the line for a while realistically. Maybe oversimplistic, but curious what y'all think. I mean, we've lost a few close games from the free throw line. Probably most of the close games we've missed have been because of the free throw line. So I do agree with you when it comes to that. So that's a good point. Like that Dallas game is like, yes, there were tactical coaching decisions that weren't made, but at the end of the day, we missed free throws that could have put the game away and stopped it from going into overtime. And the same could be said for some other games as well, especially the guy we praise in Jalen Brunson. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
I do want to say something, but in regards to talk about Thibs, I just let y'all and Lee go back and forth because, y'all just had a good conversation and I didn't want to break it up. Mm-hmm. But I'm just add this in my 2 cents in regards to Thibs. Like, I do get where both y'all are coming from. Like, the timelines are definitely different. Like, Lee would rather him probably go, now as opposed to later, and you rather like let Thibs cook and see how he does, towards the end of the season. For me, I think I look at it from like a more realistic standpoint, like okay, with Thibs, he had an 8-game win streak, he had a 5-game losing streak. I think part of that 5-game losing streak was attributed to the fact that Brunson went down with injury, RJ went down with injury. So I think from that alone, it's gonna give Thibs a little extra, thread. You know what I mean? Because it's like you lost two of your best players, and then the Knicks had to really like stretch out their bench for those games, and some of those losses in the 5-game losing streak was attributed to that. So I think with the front office and the Knicks, like I at least think that Thibs should get a chance when everybody gets back healthy to see if he can continue with that, with how he was with the 8-game winning streak. Like, can he continue with those guys? And then I think that if RJ comes back now and say the Knicks are middling, like, okay, like they're not really winning as much as they lose, then you can make a proper evaluation and be like, okay, you know what? Maybe that 8-game win streak was a fluke, and maybe then now is the time to move on from Thibs. But I think Thibs at least should get a chance to at least see if he can replicate what he did in the 8-game winning streak once RJ comes back and the Knicks have a fully healthy roster with RJ top and everybody else healthy.
Yeah,
that's a really good point. I'm glad that Ryan brought up the fact that during the losing streak we had players that were out, because Kenny Bowens made a good point in the chat. The teams we beat had a lot of the stars out as well. I think that should be factored into that win streak. We beat a lot of teams that weren't fully healthy as well. Right. So both those elements should be factored into how we see the nuance of those streaks.
Yeah, and I've been saying that too. Like I did not take those losses hard, especially that's the Spurs game, the Dallas game, yes, but the Spurs game where we were missing 40 points from the starting lineup. I wasn't losing sleep over that loss. If we lost today when we had Brunson and Randle, it would have been a totally different tone. But I wasn't tripping over that losing streak when we had all those guys out for those long periods of time. Like we have to like I said before, numerous times, we've only had that starting 5 together for only a certain amount of games. And even when RJ comes back, he's going to need to get back into the flow of the game. I'm pissed that RJ even went down for this long, because he was starting to get into a groove in its own. And I wanted to see what he does when because he seemed like he was turning the corner to me. So it sucks that he lost a week of time. But I can't wait to have RJ back into this fold. Because even what we saw today in that second quarter, when the Spurs started to catch up and cut that 10-point lead and tied the game, usually those are the moments when RJ Barrett is in the game. But we miss him right now without that rotation. We had Evan Fournier instead of Barrett, and you saw what happened. So I mean, on the flip side though, this is one of those times where maybe Tibbs could have had Randle or Brunson in there with them to prevent it. But and that's on Tibbs, but we miss RJ Barrett, man. And I can't wait to have him back. All right. Salute to the chat. Fritz, you said you want to call in for a second. You can. Also, if you want to chime in, audience, it's 319-527-6241. That's 319-527-6241. Fritz, you in there?
Hey, what's up, JF?
What's going on?
Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up, Lee?
Yo.
Hey, what's up, Ryan?
Hey, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to just chime in on the thought on Ted, because I don't really think it comes down to like wins and losses. I think it comes down to his appreciating assets. I think he has Cam sitting, and we're looking straight for the next disgruntled star. He's appreciating an asset. Tonight, Julius 41 minutes. Brunson, you saw Brunson, he hit the sidelines, he's holding the side. Brunson, 40 minutes. He's appreciating assets. He has no conscience. He lacks social skills. It's a new NBA. Like, you can't do that to NBA players. I mean, and he's not learning. But I mean, those are the things that I put to, and I hold him accountable for. That he should be let go. Letting go doesn't mean that he's a bad coach. Or it doesn't even mean that, hey, we got someone better in the wings. It's just someone who's gonna, take those. Who's gonna take those cues? Because once a player goes down, you can't use him. Once the player goes down, you can't use him. If Cam, you go all year and Cam does nothing, what are you gonna trade him for? I mean, those are the things. Like he's so into the battle that he's not thinking long term. He's not thinking of the war. So those are the things I think are kids. I'd let him go. Even now, even with the win streak, for me, it's not win the loss.
I kind of disagree. That was my argument last year. My argument for Tibbs last year was he's depreciating assets and certain players have to play, but I can't say the same thing this year. I just can't. It just doesn't make sense. We have McBride playing, Derrick Rose's bench, the front office moved Alec Burks out of here. Cam had a shot. He started good. Maybe you can make a case for a Cam over Evan or Evan over Cam. Either or, we're in a situation where we're gonna have to move one or the other. I don't think that argument stands this season. I just don't, especially since we went to a 9-man rotation, we started winning. So I just can't fall on that sword that he's depreciating assets anymore.
Yeah, I do agree with Jay Ellis's take as well, because as much as we would want Thibs to play every single young player on the roster, the fact of the matter is he is playing young players. Like we already made this argument when he went to the 9-man rotation. Like 6 of the players out of the 9-man rotation are Knicks homegrown players. So it's like, yeah, you can get upset at Thibs not playing Cam and Cam is depreciating on the bench or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, if you look at the beginning of the season, McBride was a depreciating asset. But now he's playing McBride, so McBride's stock has risen. And the same thing with Quickly. Quickly's playing more minutes, and now since the injuries happened, Quickly's now getting starters minutes. Now we're seeing Quickly, his potential as a starter. So it's like, yeah, we can nitpick and be like, yeah, he's not playing Cam, he's not playing this young player, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, the majority of the players Thibs are playing are Knicks homegrown talent, are Knicks young homegrown talent. Like, I don't know. I can't nitpick because, like I said, it's the majority of players that are playing are Knicks homegrown talent.
Yeah, nitpick is the word. It's like
I'll nitpick because the front office had to force his hand to do that. That wasn't a decision that Tibbs made on his own. The front office had to get rid of his crutches in order for him to finally play with kids. And to me, that to me is a decree on his talent evaluation, his ability to look on the roster he has. Look at how the NBA is trending and play the talents that best fit that trend. And I think he has an issue with that because of his arrogance and his egotism. He's stuck in the mid-2000s way of playing that he learned under Jeff Van Gundy and hasn't been able to evolve in the way that he sees players and utilizes players. He's a great culture setter. He comes to a team, he sets the table, he changes bad form, bad habits, bad trends. He's one of the best at that. But I think he has a 2-year ceiling where once you hit that, he's not going to get worse, but he doesn't get better. And I think if we're ever going to become a contender and we bring in a superstar, I don't trust him to lead that superstar-led team to a championship.
I actually do trust him to, not to a championship. I just trust him to play veterans more in their correct role. And I'm sorry, I can't go down that role of going. I kind of feel like we're in a situation where you're holding something against somebody for something they did last year. It's like a man cheated on his girl in 2015, and now it's 2019, and you still talking about the girl in 2015. But you took the dude back, and you still talking about it. It's like we're not there right now. Like we gotta let that go, bro. You want to let that go, or we're gonna move on. We gotta move on from last year's issues, and not like. You know what I'm saying? We have to focus on what's in front of us right now. So we can't say he's not playing young players last year when they're playing this year.
I think it just depends on what we do in the playoffs.
Huh?
If we make it. It depends on what we do in the playoffs and if we make it.
I don't know. Young players are players, and so I don't know. Whatever. Salute to the chat.
But the front office forced it.
What happened?
Yeah.
I said the front office forced that, though. Like I said, that wasn't a Tibbs decision. That was a Leon Rose decision.
I don't care how we got to the destination. We had the destination.
It matters. if you're evaluating how it happened and you say you can't talk about last year, well, you had to because Leon Rose had to force his hand to get rid of those players. Tibbs didn't do it on his own. That's an important thing to take into account when you're discussing the pros and cons of Tibbs.
Yeah, we can discuss the pros and cons and hypotheticals, but the situation isn't applicable today. It was applicable in 2022. We don't.
Yeah, but
he's not here anymore.
You have to ask yourself how and why is Albert Burks not here? Not because of Tibbs, because of Leon Rose. If he was here, he would still be playing. And you may know quickly in Brad's minutes would be decreased because Albert Burks would be our first.
So it doesn't matter.
I'll say this because, okay, I do get what Lee is saying, and Lee is 100% correct. I'm not sure if they would be playing the young players if Alex Burks and those guys were still in a Knicks uniform. But at the same time, I do agree with Jay Ellis as well because it's like, okay, well, maybe we didn't reach the destination the way that we would have liked to reach it. But at the same time, we're at the destination. So it's like, you got to take the good with the bad. But I think we could all agree that Tibbs has to go sooner or later. It's just, I think where we disagree is mainly the timing. Like, you know, some guys are like, yeah, we should get rid of Tibbs now. And some guys are like, you know what, no, let Tibbs ride out this season a bit, see how he does. And then at the end of the season, let's evaluate, you know, where the team is and then make a move otherwise. But I think at the end of the day, like everybody's pretty much on the same boat. Like, yeah, Tibbs got to go eventually.
Yeah, it is. Pretty much. Salute to the chat. I see Craig is on the phone. What's going on, Craig?
I got Lee with a shout out, my man Ryan G, and of course the master of ceremony, my man Jay Ellis.
What's going on?
Listen, fellas, I agree with Jay Ellis on the majority of when it comes down to Tibbs. With Lee and Ryan G, with no cap, y'all need a hug, man. Y'all can't jump on Tibbs like that. Too tough because here are the facts. Here we go right now. When we got him, he had a midi hooker to a scrub squad. Okay, he won Coach of the Year for all of the wins that he did with the team that he's had. And then the last year, he had the guys that were playing out of position, and he was like really. I didn't see what he knew what he was doing because I think it was all like chemistry, and he was trying to put the right ingredients in the pot, but nothing worked. It was either too salty or too sweet or something. It just didn't taste right. It didn't feel right. So the front office did what they had to do. They had to take the ingredients that was making the pot spoiled and get rid of it.
Yeah. And
now we got pretty much a new team with some of the guys that we still pretty much did okay, with the exception of Brunson, because that was a big need that we fulfilled, point guard position. But we didn't have that. And compared to the old regime, we didn't have a coach like Tibbs since Van Gundy. And everybody after that was trash. The whole organization was garbage. It was ulcer getting. You would have to have Pepto-Bismol by the 40 ounce because it was driving you sick just watching the team perform. Now Tibbs has took that bad spot from last year, and now we are above 500. I say give Tibbs a more chance to the end of the season. I'm not a big Tibbs fan. Like y'all be saying, Tibbs be Tibbs. And, there's going to be some times we're going to look at him, he's got to go. But pretty much what he's done so far, look what he did with Julius. He turned that crazy man back to normal. We're talking about throwing him out. So now we're chanting MVP. And all of that is due to Tibbs. And the only thing when it comes down to that situation is he makes it too ball heavy in those guys' hands. If you notice, like in the beginning of the games, like first quarter or so, they do exactly what I think they should do. They pass the ball, they share the ball, they're moving, they're not standing around. They're getting in different positions and making easy plays rather than holding on to the ball. Once that happens, we start. You'll see our points start going down. We're not scoring as well we should be, and we're going to end up losing the game. Here, the other team making a comeback, and then we got to go back to sharing the ball again. I say hold on to the ball at the end of like about 3 or 4 minutes.
Right,
When we're
right.
trying to kill the clock.
I got you.
Throughout the whole game, burn them, and then put your foot on their neck, and then destroy the other teams. And when you do that, we'll be back in the playoffs. If we're back in the playoffs, round one, we still got some improvements to do. If we get tossed out, we might consider another coach. But then with Tibbs holding up the way we got, do we need to replace him? Maybe when his time is worn out and he's taking us to a level where we can't improve whatsoever any longer, then yes, got to get rid of him. But if he's getting us, getting better, season after season after season, I don't know. It's a strong argument, and then that the office is going to go ahead and keep him. So I just wanted to say that point. Tell me what y'all think about that. Blessings to you all. That's my time.
All right.
Have a good night, gentlemen.
All right. Salute to you, Trey. Thanks for calling in.
A very good call.
I mean, he pretty much echoed everything I said, so you already know I'm going to agree.
The only thing I gotta say is like, I think Craig kind of like mistook what I said. Like, I'm not for firing Thibs now. Like, I am for giving Thibs a chance with the healthy roster and seeing where he could take the team. I was just trying to like give like different perspectives per se, but I'm not for the firing Thibs now. I do think Thibs does deserve a chance to probably ride out this season depending on the performance of the team.
Yeah.
I'm glad he brought up the playoffs, which I don't know what I said. That if we go into the first round and we play a team that we should be competitive against, and we're not competitive, we get bounced in 5 or 6 games, he's got to be fired. I'm for firing him now, but I know Leon Rose is going to do that, so I'm not going to be a dead horse. I think there's a good chance he could be fired at the end of the season if we either miss the playoffs or get bounced in the first round in embarrassing fashion like we did in
I
some
don't
months.
think that's happening. I think that's a pipe dream to me. I mean, even right now, let's say the season ended right now. First is Celtics, last is the 8th is the Heat, 7th is the Pacers, 2nd is the Bucks. Then we got Knicks and Nets. Very possible we lose that series. extremely possible we lose that series. So like if we get bounced out of the playoff to the Nets, I don't think it's going to change anything.
Yeah.
If it's 5 games,
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on their team.
I disagree. If it's a 5-game bounce, that to me that makes a statement. If it's 7 games down to the wire, sure, yeah, I'm with you. But 5 games, we get bounced easily, only win 1 game. He's got to go.
No way.
Yeah.
It's Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, dog.
5 games though.
They've been
5 games. 5 games.
series. They have like 2 other top 10 players on their same team.
Jealous. I'm not saying we should beat them. I'm saying it shouldn't be a 5-game loss, is what I'm saying.
I agree with Lee to a degree because it depends on how they lose if they face a team like the Nets. Because, like, for example, why Steve Nash got fired, look how the Nets played against the Celtics last year in the playoffs. They got swept. They got embarrassed against the Celtics. And I think that contributed to
But the Celtics are a championship team, and the Nets had championship aspirations last year. He should have got fired.
They get swept though.
He should. If
the way they got swept, that was embarrassing.
If Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving was on our team and we got swept, then hell yeah, Tim should get fired. But we don't have no top 10 players on our team.
That's what we're saying about the Nets.
It depends on the way they lose though, because say for example they go against the Nets and get smacked every game that series. Like, no, that shouldn't be the case. You should at least show fight in that series. At least you're gonna go down.
Fight is one thing. I can say show fight, but look, I'm not even gonna hold you. I wouldn't be surprised if we got swept in the Nets series, dog. Like,
oof.
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I wouldn't be surprised either. But I mean, if the Knicks show fight, I can see them keeping Thibs. But if they just get smacked, like that's grounds to fire.
Yeah, 100%.
Smacked is like losing by 40 every game. That's what I see, smack. If we get swept by the Nets, I can't. it's the Nets is supposed to be contenders last year. Like, I don't know. What do you guys think in the chat? What do you guys think in the chat? Or even if you want to call in.
They're saying it.
Salute to the chat. If you have something to say about that, what do you think about a playoff run with the Nets? What do you think is grants for firing for Tibbs? Also, you know what? I want to touch on something that came up. It was a blip yesterday in like Rumorville. I think it was Mike Soto. Was it Soto? Who talked about the Knicks are still monitoring Zach LaVine. And you know, here I actually do like Zach LaVine, but I'm kind of. It's funny. I feel like Knicks fans undersell Zach LaVine because dude averaged 28 points a game at one season and shot 39% from three. So I think Zach LaVine is a great NBA player. And I do feel like in a half-court offense, we need guys who can shoot threes, and he can do that. But at the same time, the way RJ Barrett was coming on about a week ago, where he started to hit threes and start to figure things out, I really want to see where that goes with his development. Because the one I feel like Zach has that 3-point shot over RJ, but the swing skill for me from RJ is the passing. I think he has the higher ceiling when it comes to passing, and I really hope RJ can kind of put that together. So I know the Knicks are looking at Zach, but I hope they're not too hasty with that type of move right now.
You want to touch on that, Ryan?
LaVine plays no defense, and shot selection is his shot selection is terrible.
Yeah. I'll say this. I am interested in RJ's development. Like, I would definitely love to see RJ develop more in a Knicks uniform. But at the same time, when LaVine is on, that dude is on. Like, RJ's a good player, don't get me wrong, but RJ's not to the point where it's late in the game, and then you can put the ball in his hands, and he's just gonna take over. Like, I've seen Zach LaVine do that over and over and over again. I think this season he's a little off this season, but the last couple of seasons, like when you put that ball in that dude's hands, like I've seen this dude go off for like 20 points in a quarter and things like that before. So it's like, I do want to see RJ's development continue, but at the same time, it's like LaVine is just a different player. Like you get a LaVine on your squad, you get a go-to guy where you could give this guy the ball in the fourth quarter, and he's gonna get you buckets. It's tough to really pass that up if a guy like that becomes available. It's tough to pass that up.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Zach LaVine. I did a back and forth with one of the other Post and Toast writers like a month and a half ago. When the Bulls kind of started turning downward about whether we should trade, and I was for it. But since then, I like the chemistry of his team, and I just think the Bulls would want everything. I think they view LaVine as their centerpiece, and it would really take like a Donovan Mitchell level trade for us to get him that contract and his knees. I'm more on the fence now than I was 2 months ago. I mean, if we got him, I would support him and be happy about it. But I think RJ has something else in the tank. I think Grimes. This might be controversial. I think Grimes might have a higher ceiling than RJ. I've loved what I've seen from Grimes lately. His game is really elevated. I mean, you said on Twitter, JL, his movement off ball, much needed in this starting lineup. And I think once he pairs that with an intermediate game, like have a pull-up J by the free throw line, he could really add a dangerous dynamic offensively. So I'm rooting for our guys internally. Wouldn't want to give up a whole lot of pieces and picks for LaVine like I would and Anthony Edwards.
Woo. You said a lot. There's a lot to unpack in all of that you just said. My brain is like, yo, where do I start? First, Grimes. Because I see some people saying pairing RJ and Zach LaVine together. Offensively, that seems like, oh, that could be amazing. But I can also see that being very clunky. Because I'm not sure how much LaVine is an off-ball movement guy. And even though LaVine is a higher talent level than Grimes, it's just like, I can't remember the Lakers team. There was a Lakers team that had like Gary Payton,
yeah.
Shaq,
04.
Who else am I missing? Was it Carmelo? I forgot, who was it?
Malone.
Malone. And we were like, wow, this is the greatest starting five in history. And you see them play together, and it's like, wait, something ain't right. Like, sometimes when you have too much of the same type of ball dominant player, it doesn't really work out the way you think it will in your head.
But because the Lakers team still made the finals.
Yeah, but they were.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but they didn't win it.
Yeah.
They did it though, but they still made the finals.
They went to the final and did it. That's a good point, Ryan. It's a good point. My overall point is there's certain times when I'm looking at the game, like take this game today, where you have Randle ISO, Grimes ISO. I mean Randle ISO, Brunson ISO, and you need some ball movement, you need some off-ball movement. All of a sudden you see Grimes fly in and cut off the ball and make a play, whether it be a layup or another pass to Mitch or whoever under the basket. I think we lose a lot of that type of chemistry when we have too many ball dominant guys in the same starting lineup. So that kind of worries me. As far as Grimes having a higher ceiling than RJ, woo! Shots fired.
It's the shooting for me.
It's the shooting. Oh, not the gunshots. Okay, the
3-ball shooting
of the ball. Okay. All right. Well, man, you want to have this awkward conversation now? I could have just ignored it.
Let's have this conversation.
I could have just ignored it, but I chose not to and dive into this. Whatever. Okay. I chose to be controversial after a Knicks Spurs win. Jeez. This is how the easy show. Whatever. All right. Here's the thing. The two things we worry about the most with RJ is the 3-point shooting and the finishing. Both of those for RJ Barrett are below league average. When you look at Grimes clean the glass stats, he's above average at finishing at the rim. I'm going off the top of my head. I think he's in the 85th percentile finishing at the rim. The 3-point shot, he was above average last year. This year, I think he's trending up. I haven't checked, but I think he might be average. But I believe he will be above average in both by the time the end of the year kind of progresses. The passing. It's funny. Grimes already has 8 assists game in his second year. I've complained that RJ hasn't had a double assist game as of yet. Grimes is a sharper passer. But when you compare Grimes' passing to RJ's passing, even though Grimes is more willing to pass the ball more and has more assists, when you really dissect it, RJ has more high-level reads than Grimes. I've seen RJ pass it to the corner. I've seen pass it to Mitch on a bunch of lobs. I've seen him pass it to like the elbow 3-point after collapsing. I've seen him throw higher level passes than Grimes has, but Grimes is a more willing passer and a sharper passer. So I don't know. The swing thing for me with RJ is he has the size to bully people down low and ISO at a higher rate because of his size down low. So if he puts it all together, it's possible he could be higher than Grimes. But as of today, in his second season, Grimes is just shooting way better and just sharper and quicker. I don't know, man. I don't know where to go with this. Ryan, help me.
Oh boy, does Grimes have a higher ceiling than RJ? I'll say this, like, I do think if RJ can put it together, he is the higher ceiling player in terms of offense. If RJ can actually put everything together, like his shooting, his ability to finish, his ability to finish at the rim, mid-range, etc. Like if RJ puts it together, I think offensively he's at least a higher ceiling player than Grimes. But defensively, yeah, Grimes is gonna always be the better player, always. And then when it comes to passing, I can't see Grimes being a better passer than RJ with the way he makes his passes, especially when he drives to the basket. RJ has the same ability as well, but I can't see Grimes being the better passer, being the better assist man than RJ. But overall, in terms of talent, like I can't say Grimes has a higher ceiling. I can't say. I think if RJ puts it together, he's a higher ceiling player.
Lee, what do you think?
Good arguments. It's not one that I'm going to like die on a hill for in terms of his take. I've just been really impressed with the jump that Grimes is taking in his second season. And I like the things that he was good at right off the bat, which was team defense, individual man-on-man defense, and his three-point shooting. He has shown that both in the summer league and then in the regular season. And he's gotten better at both those metrics season to season. I also think he plays better with players, like his teammates, better than RJ does as well. RJ has difficulty fitting in with certain lineups. He's had difficulty developing a good two-man game with Randle really until this season. Grimes can play with anybody. He doesn't even need plays called for him. He just like catches, the third, fourth, one play breaks down, the second one breaks down. He's the open man. He catches, he'll hit the three, or he'll make the right read and find a cutter. I just like the way that Grimes plays. Love how utility he is. And I think if he had more plays ran for him and was featured at a higher level in the offense, I think he would be a better player than RJ. But I hope they both succeed. I'm not here to argue one down to lift one up. I love them both, but I just think Grimes has a little bit more natural ability than RJ has to try a little bit harder in terms of these two.
I think natural shooter, yeah, but there's like nuances to the ability thing. Like I said, I think it's the bully ball nature and the size of RJ that ultimately gives me the edge over Grimes to long term possibly being the better ISO player and a better guy to run a team through heavy playmaking, because he'll be, I think long term, if the RJ develops correctly, he should be able to bully people, ISO, be in the post, have people on the hip and not be able to do anything about it. You know what I mean? So even though the shooting is better from Grimes, I'm a edge RJ. I'm an edge RJ.
Yeah, I just think Grimes is a more seamless fit. Like you could pretty much put Grimes in like pretty much any offensive system, and Grimes is gonna fit. RJ is more, you kind of have to like, how do I put this? Like Grimes is a player that you could put him in any system, he's gonna thrive, because he's a guy that doesn't demand the ball often.
Yeah,
he's a 3-point shooter, and he makes smart decisions when he has the ball in his hand. He can actually be productive not having the ball in his hand.
Bless you.
RJ more requires the ball in his hand to be productive. So RJ is not as a seamless fit as Grimes is. But I think if you look at talent, especially offensively, I still think RJ Barrett has more tools to his disposal to be the better offensive player. But if you're going to talk defense, of course, Grimes is by far the better player.
Yeah. All right. We did it, man. We had that conversation. All right. Lee's pretty much saying Grimes is untouchable. All right.
Well, my hope is I think RJ right now is slotted in to be the third best player currently.
Mhm.
I think if we were to get a true number one, he would be the fourth best player after Randle and Brunson. Let's say that all these guys are still here. In the best case scenario, we get through free agency. I think Grimes is a better fourth option or third option than RJ is. RJ's skill set, his mindset, the way that he is best utilized is as probably a second option, but I think he's more of a 3 or 4. I think Grimes will fit into that 3 or 4th option better than RJ would, just because of how easy the game comes to him.
Yeah, which is why I said before, which is unpopular take that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. You know, we're like an elite wing away from really making a lot of noise.
Agreed.
And I'm hoping RJ grows into that elite wing. So when I'm thinking about Randle plus Brunson, I'm like, all right, if we get an elite wing, it's a wrap. Where we can really start to run the table because we have Mitch, maybe elite wing, a backup defensive wing, and a stretch 5 to back up Mitch. In my mind, would be like a perfect team. In my mind, but then it's like, for me, Grimes is such a good piece, and he fits everywhere. Like it would be like I feel like having an elite wing next to RJ would be a weird fit team wise. Which is why I want RJ to grow into that, because otherwise, to me, long term, if you get an elite wing, it makes more sense to remove RJ and still have Grimes here to play that role than have RJ play alongside one, because of the fit conversation that we were having just now. Not a popular take, but
I agree with you.
It just makes sense to me.
Yep.
All right. We salute to the chat. No one wanted to call in to curse us out for any of the conversation we just had. If you want to curse us out, you have your chance. 319-527-6241. Otherwise, I'm gonna just shout you out and end the show right there. All right. We probably might get just cursed out in the comments. That's usually what happens anyway. But salute to you guys. Salute to Samir Sariano, Prezi the Boss. Shout out to you, Michael Moss, Knicks Nation TV, Nick Yak. My guy Alexander's been here for a while. B. Willis, Mike Uno, Manchild, S. Parker, Roberto Rivera Jr. I see somebody else who I was arguing with somebody in chat. I forgot who. I was arguing with somebody in the comments on YouTube. I see he's here too. Scott Wolf, shout out. I don't remember who your name is off the rip, but shout out to you. He's arguing in the chat back and forth. I mean, the comments back and forth on YouTube all day, probably like yesterday and today. Shout out to you. Even though we disagree, I appreciate you going back and forth with me. All right. Charm Boy, salute to you, man. And Knicks Nation, I like DeMar DeRozan, but like I said, still a clunky fit to me. And that's too immediate. Like, he's too old to me to have here right now. It's like now we're in like ultimate win now mode with a guy who's in his late 30s and only has a few years. I don't know if I'm in on DeRozan, even though I love his game. I just don't feel like the fit is right. He's better suited for the Bulls than our team, honestly. Meyer Society TV says these picks we have this year needs to be on the best 2 wing players available at 6'8" or better. Yeah, it's either has to be that, or we package them to trade up, or package them for an elite star, or something. I agree.
Yeah, or Adam Silver can just give us a number 1 pick and we can get Wemby.
We can do that.
Hell, or Scoot.
I'm good with Scoot.
I love Scoot.
I'm really good with Scoot.
Me too.
I'm down for Scoot. I ain't gonna hold you. All right. But yo, good show, guys. Great conversation. I like where it led. That is our show. Lee, you can just let them know where can we find you, sir.
On Twitter @_ Lee Thibodeau, LEEESCOBEDO. I saw my pops in the chat. Shout out pops. Very nice to have Ryan back. Welcome back, buddy. Showing the same without you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Ryan G, let him know.
You can find me on Instagram at Sir G is chilling.
Sir G is chilling.
That's SIRG is CHILLIN. You can also find me at Sir G's Corner. You can also find me on Twitter at RyanGKOT. And I just have two shout outs. First and foremost, shout out to the New York Giants. We in the playoffs.
Yeah, we outside.
That's number one. And number two, I just want to big up Damar Hamlin, because I'm sure y'all know by now, like, he collapsed on the field in the Bills and Bengals game, and I wish him a speedy recovery.
Wait. Hold up. Before we end the show, Ryan, bruh pick.
Shout out to Worldwide.
No.
Bruh.
Ryan, you already know where that bruh pick got to go to, right?
Wait, I'm trying to think.
You just mentioned the player who collapsed on the field.
Oh, what, Damar Hamlin?
Yes.
Skip.
Yes.
Oh, Skip Bayless. Oh,
Bruh.
yeah, Skip. Yeah.
The worst.
Why does he still have a show? I feel
The
like
worst.
one day Shannon Sharp. I feel one day he's just gonna reach over and just with the 5 fingers fade to the face. Like one
Word.
day, and that follow through is gonna be so. He's gonna Will Smith that dude. He's gonna Chris Rock homie so hard one day. It's gonna be bad, man.
Man.
Cause he's already done insulted that man on live television already.
Yeah, it's offensive.
Between that and the bronze kids and shoot, now I'm not even like a super duper like LeBron champion, but like he just be OD. He just be OD.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe wild sometimes.
All right,
So-
all right, man. All right, I'm gonna show you. Listen, if you support the show, hit that like and subscribe button, please. Please share our content as well. It's gonna help us grow.
Let's do it.
Get bigger, better. All right. So please share, like, subscribe, and comment. I definitely read the comments. I bees in the comments.
You do.
He was in the bees be in the comments too. So if you too scared to call up, we'll be in the comments. We got the smoke in the comments, right, Lee? We got the smoke in the comments.
We got the smoke, buddy.
I gotta join too. I gotta join in the smoke.
Yeah, right. Get in there. Yeah.
Stan was going hard on me in the comments. Stan, man, I love Stan.
Yeah, we got all the smoke. We coming at y'all in the comments. And it's all fun. It's all basketball though. But you can follow us at, hold on. Let me get to my scene. Get to my screen. Yo, get the snapbacks, the black and white and the blue orange first of all at thenickoftimeshow.com. All you gotta do is go there, hit catalog, boom, get all our merch. All right. Also, follow us on Twitter at the KOT Show and also Instagram and Facebook at the Knick of Time Show. Also, check us out on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, everywhere you listen to podcasts. Listen to KOT. All right. And shout out to the people who've been buying the snapbacks. I see you guys. Hopefully you enjoy your snapbacks. All right. Cool. That is our show. And guess what, guys? You know what time it is. As always,
Shout out to Worldwide West. Everywhere we go, we leave a worldwide mess.
it's a mess out here, these Knicks YouTube streets. That's our show. We out this piece.
Peace.
York, New York, big city of dreams. New York, big city of dreams.
NYC.